she looks good.
Wow.
Well, you oughta,
It's all about her.
you oughta see the car she getting out of it with her crew. It's like the governor. Yeah.
This on, Chris? Would that light be on, or is that only when it's muted?
Might not be. Let's see.
Hold on.
See if it's plugged in.
I don't see the light move.
It's not plugged in. There you go. Yeah.
Normally just.
Yeah, any one of those. Yeah.
We can have one of your. A road crew, you can get a pickup truck, and they can have a shovel in case you have to clean out a drainage. A what?
An auditor.
An auditor, whoa. How do we make out on the last cycle of rains?
Is it Logitech Brio? Because I gotta change it. It beeped at me.
No? Good. Some of that big rip.
But it's got a thing. It's got a.
Why
are we getting that?
Something else.
Oh, is it something else?
Did I mess that up?
USB.
No, the next one. Because the top one didn't work.
Yeah.
What the?
What the hell? Hang on. We're not gonna-
Quit it, reopen.
We will do lead reading.
Sick. We got what Chris sent me. I didn't see that, Chris. I only saw the summary of
You want a paper copy?
that summary sheet.
Yeah. Good copy machine.
Okay, we can just.
I don't know if we have anyone actually online, but it should be working now.
Unmute myself. So what you do not have audio? Or it does have audio?
No, we should be good. Speakers
I
on.
got it.
Where is it?
It's in an email way back.
Really?
Yeah.
I sent it?
Is it the current?
Oh, okay.
With the financials, with his.
But it was just the synopsis. It
That's what I was looking for,
Two-page
yeah.
tally, not the breakdown.
Speakers on, so you should be recording, and if anyone zooms in, you should be able to hear
Two
them.
files, should have a breakdown.
Uh,
Yeah, I have that.
In a narrative.
Yep,
I
I was looking for the narrative.
I don't remember seeing it. I'm sorry.
You did. It's
All right.
here.
You must be special.
I-
Wait, Chris.
Okay.
microphone up there working or not?
Yeah.
So you got it working?
Yeah.
What was the fix?
Yeah, microphone's on. It was actually just Samsung. There was one on the speakers things. Go to Samsung and it clicks Samsung and whatever.
So I don't need my mic on it.
I see
No.
documents for BOF meeting February 14th.
Yeah. That mic's
It's
working.
back a month.
March.
Oh, we're in
We're in March.
So I remember seeing it last month. I don't remember seeing it.
I don't.
I only
yeah,
saw, we
didn't-
only saw the summary, which had the number on it, the reserve
36
number on it.
grand, yeah.
Oh, let me see if I can send it to you. right now.
But no,
Oh,
don't,
that's all right, just
don't.
send, just tomorrow.
don't, or I'll
we'll
send it
it.
out later. Like, don't do it, don't worry about it now. All right, I'm going to, let's call this, meeting to order. It is, 7:01, 7:02, something like that. We've
Go
got
for two, because we still have 45 minutes.
7:02, 7:02. Got Matt, Jason, Joy, Mike, asked Jeanette to sit as a full member tonight. Thank you, everybody. Check the agenda, pledge of allegiance. It is in this corner up front.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've got minutes.
I make a motion to accept the draft minutes of February 14th, 2024 as presented.
And Jeanette as a motion. You got that one, Matt? Matt?
I cross-referenced them in the minutes, so.
Any discussion or questions on that? Sorry, I just had to remember how I was supposed to be sharing stuff. All right. We've got a motion and a second for accepting the February 14th minutes. Take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously. All right. We've got correspondence. Actually, there was the thing I sent from Mr. Duquette we'll talk about when we get to that section under old business. So we'll continue to discussion of Board of Selectmen, Board of Ed Finances, COVID monies, ECS funding, and school security grants. Let's start with Dr. Bickett, if you're good to go. I've got your summary up. We did not have the narrative write-up,
You got the summary, but not the narrative.
but we
correct?
see the 36.7 down the bottom.
So you should have a projected balance of 36,706.84.
Yeah.
So this is good news, because my first one was $4 grand, remember, so we're going up and up and up here as we find
But when
efficiencies.
you run your budget, go down and
We'll talk about that later, my friend. So we are in good shape. We continue to find efficiencies everywhere except for transportation. That's what's been hurting us. And if you remember, when I first came on board, we had covered a lot. You know, there's a certain amount of risk that you cover in special education tuition fund. We were in the worst case scenario, and we were able to mitigate some of that through some placements and some things that we thought we might have to spend that we didn't have to spend, and that's why that number's coming up. We made some progress on special education and tuition. However, because of the driver shortage that we had for most of the year, we had to outsource some of our runs, and that's why you look at this big deficit of 71,000 in transportation. So that's a labor situation where we had to outsource a lot of the runs. Now, we did raise the rate to be competitive starting January 1, and we've had 2 drivers come on board since then with another one in the works. So we're almost back up to full speed, so we can start off leasing these external folks that we're contracting services with. And additionally, we cut down some of the run time. So, you know, the community's been very patient. We are up to speed. We haven't cancel any runs in a long time. And our next thing is to get fully staffed. So now we can add an additional run and cut down the run time for some of our.
Can you help them? I think
Oh, thanks, Matt.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
The other place where we're seeing a deficit is under supplies, and that's some of our buses are coming to end of service, and we've had to buy parts for the end of service buses. We've also, because our current mechanic is on light duty, we've had to supplement our mechanic as well. So we had costs that we did not predict within transportation, and that by and large has been our overruns within this budget. So everywhere else, we have healthy reserves, including salaries, 38,000, benefits 109,000, and equipment. We did have a unforeseen situation at BMS 2 weekends ago with a landscaping project where they, with the help of the town and Mr. Duquette, we removed some bushes and we put in crushed rock in there. When the contractor came on Saturday to dig for the crushed rock, he went down about 18 inches and hit a conduit, electrical conduit, the main conduit going into the building. But he did not break it, it was already broken. So he found an existing problem that had been there for some time and that someone had made a repair to before.
Was I here, it was called before you did.
Me too.
Called
Yeah.
before you did.
Yeah. So a couple issues there. It's not, it wasn't deep enough to be up to code, and we had to do a temporary fix on Sunday to get that. So I think we can cover that in-house with what we had over for some repairs, and then we're gonna do a long-term fix because Eversource has to cut the power to BMS over April break. So we're gonna do it. So the situation is safe, under control. We fixed what we could on our end. Eversource is gonna come in and do some work on their end. That was their responsibility over April break.
And that happened at Baldwin.
I saw them there.
I have a question on transportation.
Yes.
I know we're gonna drop, transporting to
So
Griswold.
we have one more year. We have next year with Griswold.
So the budget we're creating now, we have to cover
We have
transportation.
to cover, correct.
Okay.
Did you say we're paying for that repair, or Eversource is paying for that repair?
Well, it's a little both. It's a little both. So we are paying, we paid for the electrician to come out and do that. Ordered it fixed that line, the short line, but Eversource, there's the main line that feeds into that conduit is not the code either. So, you know, we had Tom and Garrett had, Robbie Kerr came out and looked at it, and electricians came out and looked at it, so Eversource is gonna come, so it's safe, serviceable until we can do the long-term fix and do that over April break, so.
So that's the fault of initial installation?
We don't know whose fault it is, it's in years and years and years and literally buried underneath there, so.
But it was an initial leg, it was not a new thing that happened.
Correct, you know,
Over time.
and me being,
So
like,
that was
It was
our,
uncovered and it was broken.
it was
not by
broken
being uncovered,
previously,
it was like
so the
broken
conduit.
already.
I understand
Yeah,
that, so I'm just putting it back to the fact that it was the school building
Correct.
committee that wasn't under code at that moment in time.
And I don't know when that line was, installed, there's so many sections to that building, those various dates. I don't know when that
Well, that
section.
building was all one, Baldwin, I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
Baldwin's.
Yeah.
thinking CES. Okay.
So is this, it's a direct hit? If everything remained the same today, I'm assuming it's going in repairs and maintenance?
Yeah.
And it's already over, so is it gonna eat into the 30?
No, I think she budgeted out of that, so we should be fine. So,
Okay.
yeah. When I get the exact cost I have, for Michelle, I can give that, I can send it over to Mike to do the books. So,
Mhm.
So I don't anticipate having to go to the town
Right.
and do that at all. I think we can cover that with what we have internally. But, you know, that's just one of these things that pops up in the aging facility. And also, we're doing a facility walkthrough of Baldwin. Ironically, we had one scheduled for Monday night at 6 o'clock. If anybody from the BOF wants to walk through with us, we're gonna walk through BMS and look at some of the upgrades that we've done, and some of the things that we need to put on the capital list
This coming Monday,
this coming Monday.
give us the details there.
6 o'clock, meet in the library at BMS. Mr. Duquette is gonna walk us through the building.
Okay. Yeah. I'll try to be there.
Look at existing, look at things, and, you know, again, me being new too, and working with Chris on what's on the capital list and what's not on the CIP list, you know, we're looking to see. Six, yeah.
Dinner included?
I will, for you, I will pay for your dinner.
Oh, there was such a thing.
All right, guys, 43 minutes.
What is it? What's happening in 30 minutes?
We want to be done.
Meeting's over in 43 minutes. That's the deadline.
That'd be great.
That was just a bit of a joke.
And I will say, I've committed, if they needed the town crew to do any digging up their excavation work, we're available to pitch in to help them out up at the school. But so far, we haven't been called on, so that's good.
Any other questions on Board of Ed? All right, I do want to quickly just transition to the security updates. Mr. Duquette sent an email I shared out. Hope you guys did
Yeah, sounds like
get
they're
that.
trotting along.
He could not be here tonight.
But he's actually in Washington DC with the Commissioner of Education, Miguel Cordona. So he sent me a picture of him and Miguel Cordona having dinner.
Great.
I think you got the same one,
You were
Mike.
copied on that. so-
Yeah, right, the camera upgrades at VMS are complete. Camera upgrades are ongoing at CES. What else you got on that list? The
Windows
locks.
film slated for last week of June.
Yep,
Raptor Emergency Management is up, being populated. Train coming soon. We've expended a significant portion of the grant money. I'll be seeking reimbursement soon. That's
Thank you.
yep. We're up to speed, with all the cameras at VMS, much improved view, much improved security on the security cameras and finish the install CES, so.
Do you know when the bulk of the work will be completed?
I would say May,
Yeah, well,
yeah, I would say May at the latest.
yeah, pretty quickly then.
They usually work fast when you give them the money.
Yeah, especially if they don't get paid until they're done. All right, Chris, you said Lori was under the weather.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
she
and there
was
a
sick.
QuickBook online
Sick
transfer.
today and yesterday, so she wasn't able to get any of the reports together, and I think, if, I'll talk to her next week and have her put together the reports and get a package out to you, Mike, and then you can share it with the board, but, yeah. I don't think we have anything, that sort of, hair raising or outstanding. It's, business as usual.
Yeah, any questions?
One more question on the, Board of Ed. April 3rd will be
Correct.
you'll be good to go?
I'm good to go. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, just to confirm, so, it's this meeting in 3 weeks, and we have Board of Ed's presentation, April 3rd, and then we're into the swing of things, April 10th is the town.
Yep.
And CIP, and then we're into it almost every week, we're into the budget.
I will comment that it would have been helpful to have more of these papers tonight.
Well, and also, we didn't have them last month either.
No.
6 o'clock.
I was just looking, so.
Right, we have December. July through December.
I have the, well, yeah, the January report. Yeah, the December. Yeah, so this is the last one I have. Which we might actually want to look at when we're looking at the lines on the worksheet. Because I think that was the idea, to make sure that that was in all the records. I added the ones that we already talked about. But I think we're good with this section of the meeting. Any more questions for Simon?
No, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Let's see what's next. All right, budget, we are now into new business budget work. All right, talk about budget worksheet workshop. We're gonna confirm revenue lines, budget structures, compared to treasurers, QuickBook reports. Some of the notes I had was that we wanted to add a PRE library, PRE recreation lines, and if we do this, then the subtracting out of those two numbers, 35K for 23-24 needs to be within the CIP.
Yeah, either way,
35.
as long as the numbers end up where they're supposed to be, it really makes no difference.
Well, I think the question was though, when we got Lori's things, they were showing that there was no money
Yeah.
allocated for it. It had the 10 in there for the selectmen, but it didn't have, it was showing 0 budgeted, and we actually did budget it.
Oh, yeah. All right.
That was the question.
Let's hold on specific lines for just a moment, and let me bring up and give kind of an overview of the worksheet and the information that we have at the moment. I did share out
Can you enlarge that?
I will, that one we'll bring it up, This is the final number out of the Board of Assessment Appeals, for 458 million, so forth. That is in the worksheet. So let me pull up, change the share, pull up the worksheet. All right. And I'll try to zoom as needed. I shared a link.
Which one, are you in the link?
I am in the,
I'll open that. If I move it.
I don't know that your view is locked to my view, is it?
Oh, no,
When
that's
I
right,
pulled-
because I'm not, you didn't give me,
You're not in it.
access to
Yeah.
change.
No, but when I had, one of mine came up on the computer, it says, click to edit your own copy.
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
You don't wanna
You can
do
save a
that.
copy of it.
I mean, you can if you
Yeah.
wanna tinker with it.
Okay.
So what I wanna start with though is the property tax tab, which I did a little bit of manipulating. This used to just be like put in different cells on the sheet. It was always difficult to find.
Yeah.
So what I've tried to do is add these tabs and have us refer to those rows so that all I have to do is push it down a row, but we also get a good view of the history of it. So this is the last several years. Line 7 is our current fiscal year 25, which is relying on Grand List 23, and that's that 458,698,377 figure that we just got out of the BAA. Last year was 455 million. So if you look, it's a 0.67% increase, not even 1% increase. The prior year it was 3.6, the prior year was 3.4, the prior year was a reval, 13.5%, and so forth. You can also see on column G that for the prior 2 years, we've been at a mill rate of 23. I penciled in 23 this year, just so that didn't, so it gave us some numbers going across, but that number is not determined yet, right? The current year. The prior year was 23.72, so in that reval, we dropped, or it was even 2 years in a row we
No,
dropped.
when the reval hit, we kept it the same, but it reflects differently.
Okay, but we dropped, these
We
numbers
dropped it to
basically, but we
compensate.
dropped it here with this increase. So this drop between this year and this year was a non-reval drop. This drop from here to here was a reval drop. So
Yeah.
the history is we've dropped or kept the same for the last 4 years, whatever. And however, with the grand list increases, last year's went up 360,000. With this year, if we keep the mill where it is, it goes up 69,000. I just wanted a number to go in there, so I pushed forward our existing mill rate. No assumption that this is the actual mill rate, just as it is an assumption, I guess, but we haven't determined at all what it should be. So this is new money, 69 grand out of that mill, out of the grand list increase.
Okay.
Is there any analysis on the change year over year?
There was a doc, I thought I had sent it out. Let me see if I can find it. That was basically like autos went down. You mean that because last year, year before, it was autos had gone up so much.
Yeah, like the contributing factors to the.
I thought I had
Change
sent it
between-
out. Let me look and see if I can find it. It would have been a month or so ago, right, prior to the Board of Assessment Appeals. Here's a grand list memo. This is probably it. So this is from January 31st. You can see, so this is prior to Board of Assessment Appeals, and it's 459. You're not seeing it? Oh shoot, I gotta change my share again. Thank you. Preview. Okay. So this is before Board of Assessment Appeals. So I probably wasn't even showing that one. This is the final number, 458,698. This is the number before Board of Assessment Appeals. So it dropped after the assessments, the appeals. So here it says motor vehicle values, decrease in motor vehicle values by nearly 5%. Mentions the Quinnebog pilot, which we put in separately. 0.79%, I guess that's 0.79 with that bigger number. I didn't run the numbers on that one. Is this kind of what you were looking for?
Yeah. For more of a rep,
I mean, I don't.
dollars associated with each. See how it's broken out?
Oh, I mean here.
Yeah, but what is?
Year over, you mean?
Yeah,
we would have last year's.
Yeah, that's okay, we don't have to do it now.
I think that was the first time we got that.
Yeah, I've never seen them.
Yeah, I think I sent it out.
Yeah, we got,
No, that's
no, I'm not
fine.
saying it's the first time we've seen it, I'm saying that's the first time we got a breakdown like
But
this with our assessor.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
the
that's
personal
true, I
property
can
is-
look, I mean, we can dig in, we can look at prior year documents,
Registered.
when we're building it. Let me see what I've got just quickly if I have something from last year.
Does it matter what we're doing to
What's that?
it? Does it matter with what we're
Like,
doing
where's
to it?
Well, I mean, if you guys care, you know, I'm happy to skip it or whatever. I do know, I feel like I did see, I mean, we saw a breakout that said autos went up quite a bit or whatever. We saw, we had. a
Yeah, when
letter,
COVID
some
hit,
of that.
we got a letter that says, please, it was just, there wasn't a breakout like this, but it just said, please bear in mind that you're gonna have like a 20-some% increase in your automobile
Right.
because of COVID.
Right,
And that's when we leveled ourselves out
Right.
by having no increase because we knew, that's when we went down.
Angel provides this communication annually, so if you reach out to Angel, she can just go through her files and give you, this same letter, you know, for the past few years.
right, but I think I have it.
The year we went
Here's an update. This is last year. So this is March 2023. So there's your real estate, personal and motor. You guys see that?
We had gone down with our mill rate, which was to compensate for the fact that the vehicle taxes were gonna go so much higher because of COVID.
Yeah, yeah, this is current year, this is last year. And, sorry, they're not really lined up, but it looks like real estate, houses and whatnot, goes 357 to 368. Personal property, 28 to 31. Motor vehicle, 62 to 59, there's the drop.
Yeah, it's the
Very small.
count, not the.
Oh, you're talking about the count of accounts?
No, well, she's saying it's automobile pricing, but if you look at the number of accounts, that has a bigger impact than the dollars. This on the
Yeah,
right is the
absolutely.
new one, right?
This is the old one.
That's the old one.
This is last year. This is this year.
So,
So, yeah, we had an
So we got 100
increase.
more accounts on
Yeah.
real estate. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. I'm just looking at the relationship of the dollars to the accounts and if it makes sense.
Huh, okay.
Because it went down.
The per account amount. Could have gone down. Yeah, because you could have a third column there that's like a divide by, is that what you're saying?
Just to, so it makes sense.
Yeah. All right, let me go back to the worksheet. And I'm actually now in the local desktop version of Excel, but again, it's.
I'm in the one I saved.
Yeah, okay, separate copy. So that's just setting it up. That row 7, our base assumptions are same mill rate with a 0.67 increase to the grand list, which gives us 69,000 new money this year. With a revow coming next year. I know that it was mentioned, and I thought it was actually gonna hit this year,
Yeah, I did
but
too.
these years mess me up because the grand list, the fiscal year 25 is grand list 23, so when they say we're doing a revow for 24, I think it's gonna affect us. We're doing budget is 24, but it really doesn't affect us until we're doing the 26 budget.
26 budget.
Okay. All right, so, on the expense side, just, this is the summary tab that we showed, that we put out, as a printout, and, should have all of the high level numbers. What I'm gonna try to do at this top column is have a box that says, what is this updated as of? Because if we start making edits, I'll put the new date in there and maybe a note about what we're doing. I'll try to keep copies separate maybe. I gotta figure out, because I want it to be a living document, but also have us have milestones that we can look at and say, what was it as of this point? And make sure that we approved it and make sure that we don't inadvertently change things. So right now, I'm the only person who can edit, so the link I sent out would be reference only. I think Joy was saying you can download or save your own copy.
Yeah.
If you want to tinker with it, or if you want to look at the formulas, because I don't know if you can look and see all the formulas and everything as a view only. You can.
Oh, should be.
Okay.
I just can't do it.
So what we've got is,
That's safer for me.
we've got on column O, there's a bunch of hidden columns, but on column O is the proposed budget. I've carried these forward, so we'll put in new numbers when we get them. We've got the additional appropriations is a real number, 521,000. And then we'll get audited numbers hopefully soon. Fingers crossed. So this column O, there's some assumptions, there's some push forward, there's some assumptions. It's not really accurate. So don't really go by it, but it'll eventually start filling in. What I've tried to do is make the worksheet, just in the last couple of years when I picked it up, is try to make it so that any number we're putting in here, we only have to put it in one place, so that we're not potentially making mistakes. So this grand list amount here is a reference to that other sheet. And then these numbers, I feel the budget numbers we put in here, but the revenue side comes from, total revenue comes from the other sheet, right? The other tab. So the one that we want to look at probably most tonight is this 24-25 column of, we're not putting in numbers tonight, okay, because we do that later. But what we want to do is we want to look at what rows we have and do they correspond with what's in Lori's budget reports. And I'll rely on you guys, but like I said, I did the two pre-lines, the pre-capital, which is
All the numbers from the state, we can't do anything because they come to us.
did we get that? Did we get the state numbers? Yeah, do you remember? I mean, the Council of Governors.
It's because the legislature is still in session, any numbers can change. But they should have those dialed in shortly. It doesn't look like, based upon the initial governor's budget and any changes, we weren't looking at any significant changes. I know I'd sent you some from CCM and cost earlier.
Yeah.
But it's still subject to change, you never know.
I need to make sure I track those because I don't have those in the
Yeah, if
folder.
you don't have them, I'll make a mental note, God, I'll forget. But I'll kick them over to you again.
Yeah, those numbers we'll use when we get that report. We'll
Yeah.
use those to pencil in the state revenues. At the moment, what I did is I carried it forward. I'm pretty sure all these columns from P last year to Q this year, I just carried forward. So everything is zero. But we did add these lines, the capital, rec capital improvement and the library capital improvement. Quinnebog was needed a line number. That line number's been added. And then NIPS revenue, if we have a line number, but I did add a row for it. And so at this point, I guess, we want to look at the report. Here, let me just share my screen. Hopefully nothing embarrassing comes up. We want to look at these lines versus these lines.
Budget porn.
Now, there are hidden rows here. So for instance, the 74 is hidden. Some of this, most of this, I'll be honest, predates me. And I was remembering the shortcuts. It's like Command or Control Shift 9 to hide and unhide. But you go in there, it's P and Z
Right click.
attorney fees. Yeah, I just do right click and do it. But there's shortcuts too that I was trying to remember.
Yeah, you're on math. It's different.
But that's attorney fees collected and it's been zeros and doesn't have anything. So unless there's reason to put numbers there, we just leave them hidden. They would have been there at some point. I like shortcuts, so it's Control 9, I think. Control 9, there. And then in here is the same thing, Control Shift 9, so engineering
We're gonna
fees
have to
recovered.
get, do the whole dump sticker thing again this year to know what for revenue. Because this was
Where's the
our
dump
low
sticker?
year.
You won't know that
The year
well,
before.
We'll have to see the selectmen's budget to see if it's a low year or not. Do you want to say anything about that, Chris?
No,
We'll talk about that later. Okay.
yeah, save that for later.
All right. No, we just,
Yeah.
if anything's
Yeah,
changed.
you'll be updated on that when necessary. Yeah.
still a bargain.
But I don't think any of the hidden rows, I feel like I looked through them. I don't think any of the hidden rows are material to us. But I guess it's this document. Where's the revenue side? Is this the revenue? If we see stuff in here that we don't have represented over there, that would be what we want to add. And I can try to do it live, or I can make a note of it. It's probably safer to just make a note of it and add it. Tonight is really about trying to refamiliarize ourselves with the worksheet and to take care of some of these issues that we noted. I think it was early this year or late last year or something.
Okay, so how do the columns run? The first one is,
Whoops. Over.
whoops,
I'm going to try to. Okay, here. So
no, the other sheet.
on this one.
Yeah, what is the first one? Okay, July to December, that's what we're looking at.
Well, I don't know that I care about the.
No, but I'm just saying, that's what we had coming in, what we budgeted and what we're over budgeted.
Yes.
I was just saying what the zero is like rec fees, it says, got nothing in, but it's a wash, it shows the wash right there.
Yeah, we will evaluate whether we want to change the number that's there later. in
True,
our
but I'm just
cycle.
saying that that's where we're looking for the gaps, like
Yeah.
the PRE money gaps and stuff like that.
Yep. But like total COVID related income 3199. Is that 319? 4199. I don't have, but there's also no numbers there, so we don't probably need to add it, right? 4190 miscellaneous government state revenue is there, so we have it, right? Those are just some examples, right?
And you added the opioid
What row is that? Or what-
of 4635, right, first one, right under local revenues, 4635.
Oh, it's out of order. Did I have it? I don't know that we do have that. Okay, so I'm gonna go 9 here. I'm gonna go insert 4369. Is that what it was?
4365, is it?
4635.
Yeah.
4635, and we'll call it National Opioids Settlement. And I mean, what do we? So we've got a little money in there.
Well, we're just fixing it so that when we do our budget,
Yeah,
we'll know we have to put something there.
So we'll leave.
We can leave it blank for now.
We'll leave it
Yeah.
blank. We should just leave it blank. Okay. And I want to just test it. If I put a 1 there, it carries forward. Okay, so I think Excel is being smart there. Yeah, it's adding it when I inserted that row. Okay. Good call. Does it make sense for me to bounce back and forth or to stay on one?
I think these are all set then.
Yeah, they should. I mean, we may want to reorder some of these match. This one's out of order, just the number. And then there's these revenues. You got license fees, records, and tuition.
The miscellaneous general government, is that one in there?
4250. It is.
Okay.
When I did a quick view, most of them were in there. I know there were just a couple that weren't. There's local revenue other 4200.
And you put the selectmen and
We've got all of the
library, selectmen, the
PREs.
rest.
I do not see 4200 local revenues other. It's $215. You want it?
Should be there.
I'm gonna put it at the top here. Insert 4200.
Local revenues other.
You know what? It's probably.
It's hidden, it's row 68.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna undo these. Can I undo? Undo, and it's probably 68 is what you're saying. Ha! Look at that. Okay, we just unhide it. The opioids is new, 100%.
There are things I would caution about, for instance, with the opioid money, because that has to be spent on specific activities. It's hard to, I would be cautious about it, although it's not
So
a
does the NIPS
significant.
money.
Yeah, and NIPS money as well has to be spent on specific activities. It's hard, it's tough to include those in the general fund and in the actual general revenue forecast because they have to be spent on specific activities, so they don't fall into that.
But we still have to record it somewhere that we're getting it.
Yeah.
We just want a record of it.
We just
on
want
the
the
Yeah,
record,
that's
yeah.
it.
and we
yeah.
don't tell you how you have to spend your
No,
county money,
you
know?
can't tell, on that, the state tells us how we have to spend it. I'm just
But
saying
just-
that,
Well, hold on, technically, we don't need it in our worksheet.
no, and I'm just saying,
This is
what
just our worksheet.
what you don't wanna do is fall
We
into
just
the
want it
trap
in
of
our
adding
worksheet
in
so we
some
have
of
a full
those
picture.
funds which are captured and offsetting your ask for a mill rate, because that,
Does the NIP money get put into the unassigned?
no, because that goes into a special
Right.
reserve fund, because the state says we can only spend it on certain activities, just like the opioid money.
Well,
We can only spend it on certain activities.
Then can I ask you to bring us a list next meeting when we do you?
Listed on the worksheet.
And then,
So we'll have a formula for those.
so that we know which ones are reserved funds?
I would think if our revenue estimate or whatever matches some number you put in your budget,
Yeah.
then it's a be a wash.
Yeah, I'm just thinking and it's not a
But if he's
significant,
gotta spend it in that purpose. for
it's
that
not a
purpose.
significant amount of money, but you can't necessarily use it when you're calculating the mill rate, because it's not in the general fund per se, it's.
Well, so what I'm
earmarked.
saying is though, what is the NIP money here? We have a number?
There's no number.
Nothing yet? It's 5 or 10 grand?
Yeah, probably say 6 to 8 a year, something like that.
So either, for our purposes of our math, we may wanna put 0 there, or unless you have, compatible spending in that amount, we can put that amount as our budget to offset it.
Yeah, because I know when we first started to get that money, we established a revenue expense line so that we could account for it on the in and going out.
It's kind of an in and out, it's not really.
Right, but all we have to do is reflect in and out.
Yeah, that's fine. I just you
But that
just
means it
want
has
to.
to be on his expense side and on our revenue side, it can't just be on one side or the other.
And I think that's what we were finding, like with PRE money, was only showing up
So one side,
on one side.
maybe, yeah. Now, the opioid was like $215, and I don't know how much, if anything, that is legal. So it might be worth just putting in 0 for that.
Yeah, we could assess that when we get to it.
Right. Versus the NIP money, we know is not gonna be 0. We know there's several $1,000s each year.
But if we knew what things that we put into the town accountability side, which ones are specific reserve funds, we can just isolate them so they're not part of our calculations of running our general fund, you know?
Yeah, we can just color code the row and then move the forms
Yeah, I mean, I think,
from those
I
cells.
feel that at this point in time, we need to record everything that comes and goes.
We should color code the rows.
It's
And
interesting.
what they are.
And that way, if it doesn't impact our numbers, just isolate them out.
Well, okay, I mean, if Chris has spending in his budget that is paid for, legitimately paid for by that revenue, then I would want to include it in our revenue account to offset that spending. If Chris doesn't, like, are you planning in your budget to have a line that is paid for by the NIPS money?
No.
You have to find some kind of initiative.
I want to find something worth spending it on.
Yeah.
So it's building up.
It's building up. Yeah, it's building up.
Then maybe we do want to just pull it out. I mean, it would basically be, instead of a straight sum, it would be a straight sum excluding the rows that we
Yes.
can't spend generally and that aren't in his general budget. And is it just those 2 lines?
Well,
And if so, I'll kind of highlight this, I'll do some light color here.
Oh wait, when did you add the new counts? After you sent this out? Was it only
Which
in the
counts?
online version?
He
The
didn't
online
just
version
now.
will have the edits.
So it's the last 2, the
This one,
opioids. Yep.
and I want to maybe I'll just highlight it. Oh wait, I'll do this. this one and this one to start with.
Yeah, those are where we're
So
gonna
the
put
comment is remove from revenue.
calculation.
So it would be, because this total revenue totals up the other totals. So if we just subtract it out of this total. Now, how do you think this formula should work? Should we do a regular sum and subtract out the individuals? Because then you see it. It would be that.
Easier to
You
read.
see how the math is doing? You're summing everything and
As-
subtracting those two specific ones.
As long as when we add a line, we go insert, right, the formula update.
We have to double check that
That's the
one.
thing, yeah.
Because I don't know
We just
how
need to make sure.
Excel, if it's completely smart about how
If you insert a line, it'll adjust the
it
calculation.
kind of increments the. So
It's yellow.
now when I do this, that number doesn't change, but if I put $1 million here, it will not change that. See?
Yeah.
So I think that's the behavior that you all were talking about.
Yeah.
So long as normally Chris doesn't put it in his budget, I think this will work. Remove from revenue total since it's
Okay,
restricted.
but my question would be that if the town is getting money.
Yeah.
And I'm the treasurer, I could just take the money if it's not recorded in the register.
But we're not
Well,
recording.
that's why we're putting it, that's why we're recording.
Well,
Yes,
we're not,
That's
hold
what
on.
I'm saying, it should be somewhere.
Well, this is just our worksheet. So we can have or not have this line, we could, have or not have any of these rows. We're just trying to get an accurate count, a total of what the revenue is. So it's to our benefit as we set the budget and mill rate and everything, to know all these revenues, but.
Well, I think.
Know
I think-
which ones.
So for this exercise, I agree with Jeanette, for this exercise, we don't need the ins and outs to set the mill rate. But on a monthly basis, when we're looking at the financials.
We would want to see our budgeted amount and you spend against it. Is that what
We
you're
also
saying?
wanna see the extra money that comes in, that goes back out, because that should be reported.
That'll be in the town financials, yep.
Yes, I'm not talking about budgeting.
465 in the
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gotta be showing us somewhere, and if it's in the town
Right, but
financials.
is she taking this and?
She uses this, well, no, she would use Chris's budget for, well, actually, that's a good question. Chris, do you know, does Laurie use our revenue estimates on those lines in her budget? In her thing?
You know, she
I mean,
doesn't
they
really
tend to line
factor
up,
in
I
your
just don't
revenue
officially.
estimate, she will take what is the total amount that has been appropriated off the town and education budget. Your revenue estimates don't really factor into it, because you're really just using those to make your, to set your mill rate.
Right,
So she's less concerned about the revenue, because, for instance, she might book $50,000 in interest income, but it could be, $60,000. So revenue doesn't necessarily tie in, we just go off of what's been appropriated, so if it's $30,000 for a selectman salary, that's what goes in the line, and
but she
That's
does
good.
have, on the revenue, she has things like investment interest, and she's got 50 grand here. How did she get the 50 grand? Did she take it from our sheet? Or did she do her own estimate? Because we've got 50 grand here, we've got 50 grand on investment,
yeah, she might be,
Permits.
she might be pulling that off your sheet.
she
but-
might use our number,
Yeah, but it doesn't,
but it doesn't really drive it.
no, it doesn't drive anything,
Right.
Who's responsible for the budget?
Chris,
in what respect?
Well, we're setting the mill rate off of estimates. The mill rate is backed into the revenue and expense that you give us. We are technically signing off on it. So she should be using our budget numbers.
For the revenue, probably.
Yeah, the budget numbers that are approved, but the revenue
and
figures.
the expenditure.
Well, the expenditures come out of his budget that we approve.
However, we approve his budget, therefore he's locked into those
Sure.
line numbers.
Right.
So those numbers go in.
So then we're back to, forget about setting the mill rate, but on a monthly basis, the budget numbers that we're looking at, we need to see every dollar that comes in and every dollar that goes out to make sure.
As well as what we budgeted. That's
Yeah.
where we picked up the gap this year,
Okay,
is that there was zeros as being budgeted for PRE money.
well, we were zero, because we didn't have those rows on our report last year, but yeah.
In Lori's.
We didn't have these lines in ours, those two that we added.
I'm not talking about in ours, I'm talking about in Lori's.
Right.
There was zeros income.
Right.
And we knew what budgeted, we knew we had budgeted.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to clean up is in between.
Yeah,
And I think that whatever Chris gives us, we approve and the town passes, those are the numbers that Lori has to set up her columns with.
on the revenue estimate. I mean,
On the expenditure,
well, the expenditures is clear, because the expenditures is all in Chris's budget. We look at it, we pass it, goes to town, it passes, the whole, every line is passed like that.
then why was there no money showing for,
Well, that's revenue.
okay.
And so revenue is different, because I think I would recommend that Lori go off of our revenue estimates,
Which is fine.
because then we can compare them to what we thought we would be getting.
Right, then you
I
have.
think
Yeah,
that's the
that's
point.
what we're not getting, yeah.
And and there were 2 PRE lines that we did not previously have on our revenue sheet.
Right.
So if those are the ones she had zeros on, it makes sense, because we had not projected any revenue on those lines.
Okay.
And so she may have just not seen anything and put a 0 in, because she had no way to basis it, because she doesn't, revenue isn't what she could give us she could help us figure out what estimate to use, but otherwise she doesn't know what those estimates should be for those revenues. Some of them we get directly from CCM and we put in, and they're pretty firm. Some, like the NIPS stuff, we're gonna have to spitball or milk fees or whatever. We just have to figure out what we think are interest or
You
permits.
take your best guess.
Take our best guess. I think Lori should probably use our revenue estimates on those lines. That way we can see,
Were we on target?
were we
Were
on
off?
target? We
Yeah.
said 50, we want to see it versus 50, not versus 60 or 40, if she's using a different number. That'll bring clarity. Joy, does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
Have-
fine for the
Have her
revenue.
use our numbers for the revenue.
She should.
She should.
We should have every dollar in and every dollar out, so we
Yeah.
can make sure it's all reported.
So when we put 50 in for investment interest and halfway through the year, we're at 50%, then we know we're on track versus different. I think on this is this halfway? This is the halfway. So if we look at something like investment interest, we had estimated 50, which she does have our number. But 125 has come in, so it's 250 over. So although next year the interest rates could do who knows what. So I don't know that we want to look at that and double it or whatever, right? But it does look like largely she was using our numbers. But I think you're right, what stood out is that there were these revenue lines with dollars and no budgeted revenue estimate. Are there any other examples? Because that's a good one to look for. Like 4041 judicial district to towns. See that one? That's $495 in their budget. 4041. It's probably a hidden one,
Probably is.
because there's a bunch. Wait, what was it?
4041, so between 16 and 20.
Probably in here. So we go there.
There it is.
So what we'll do is we'll hide 17, 18. And leave this one. But to me, that's general revenue. So we don't exclude it.
Sounds like it, I mean, that's.
Judicial
That's just
revenue.
pure income going to the general fund.
Judicial district to towns, or whatever that is, Chris? Any restrictions on that?
Which one?
Judicial DIST to towns,
Not that I'm aware of.
distribution? Oh, yeah. So I'm gonna get rid of the highlight. Oh, get rid of the highlight.
Oh, no, yeah.
Okay, so actually, yeah, anything with money with no budget. Rest of this, all right. Here's one, add tuition revenue, we spent out. Prior year
4248.
expenditure, that one's actually 0. So what was it?
4248.
42, might be in here somewhere, right?
Yep.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
All right, so we want to do, actually, I'm gonna hide this one first. And then 4249, do we need that one? I don't see that. So 4248. I'll get rid of that highlight. But that's one that we'll want a number on, perhaps. Do you know what, is that stuff related to you? And tuition revenue, 4248?
Yeah, you get so for example, if the student's nexus was, let's say, Willimantic and they were placed in town, you guys get the revenue from that. Okay. You guys get the tuition from, Wyndham or wherever the student's placed.
And then there's 4251 prior fiscal year expenses, but it's zeros.
Zero all the way
and zeros.
across,
So we probably don't need that one. That's the only other example. That's a good thing to look for, anything that there's revenue in that we had budgeted.
You did the PREs.
And the PREs were like that too.
We could do one pass through, since I know just now, if you're updating it.
Yeah, you want to double check that it's.
What I can do is I can download this PDF into Excel,
Okay.
and I'll just do it in there, and then we'll pop out the stuff that has.
That's awesome.
And like my head number of revenues should, that goes to the town should drive with yours, right? So I keep doing the presentation, I'll do it with my revenue.
You'll have a number? You'll have an estimated number?
Yeah.
For that? Okay. If that's money that comes to the town,
It
sure.
goes to the town, like UCS,
I mean, right now, it looks like $8 grand for the middle of the year, for current year.
yeah. But I haven't, Michelle's got all the revenue sources, so,
Oh, that would be good to have.
yeah, put those right to that sheet.
This one, did you just pop that up?
That number is popped in, the additional
Made it up?
appropriations. It is based on, I have it in,
What, the 521?
Yeah,
I have it here.
We had the 5 that we gave for the school,
This one,
yeah,
additional appropriations.
and then we had 12 that we put aside for,
that was the,
It's this, sorry, it's tiny. It's the school, it's all security grants, is what it is. It's the 521, 568, 26.
I forgot to ask Chris, what are you expecting to turn back?
Off the top of my head, I don't
It's
have a
an
figure
additional
for you.
appropriation can be,
You are woefully
it won't be in the
unfair.
audit, and
No.
someone pull it out. Because it's the year their audit is the prior year.
We've had an interesting
So we want to put in. an
6,
additional
8 weeks
appropriation.
with QuickBooks. We moved to QuickBooks Online.
It'll come
So
out.
I've actually avoided asking a lot of these questions because I get Lori throwing stuff at me, so.
well, I can just do that, and
Yeah.
then get rid of everything that matches, and I'll send you a spreadsheet, so you can look at it, and just plug numbers in, and we can update it online.
Found a quicker way to do this?
Yeah, if I had another laptop, I could do it right now.
Okay.
I don't have
So then we don't need to
Adobe
keep going?
Reader on this,
Okay.
so I can just dump the town financials into Excel, and then I can just do a match.
Automated.
Oh, okay. Then did you get your 45 minutes?
No, it's all right.
Well,
It's 45 minutes somewhere. All right, that's good. Any more thoughts and anything we want to look at on that?
No, my whole concern is just, like I said, just to make sure that what we have coming in has some place to land and there's an
Yeah.
accountability for what's
Yeah.
coming in and going out.
Yeah, I mean, about these two lines, I wonder, so we've got 3 sources of revenue right now, or 3 categories. There's the taxes, which is taxes and taxes and liens and interest. We've got the intergovernmental revenue, and we've got local revenue. Right? Those add together, total revenue. We're saying pull these 2 out. Is this common? I mean, is that something we need to consider? From the total local revenue, we want to pull NIPS and the opioid settlement out of that because it has restrictions on how it can be spent.
Where would it go?
Well, so I'm wondering, do we want a 4th? Should I reconfigure a little bit and have a 4th column, which is like restricted revenue sources? Which don't get put into that total revenue used for purchase.
Yeah, because Chris, you're gonna come back and give us other.
yeah, if I can
Because
think
like the money that you get for renting this place, That's a restricted account too.
Yeah.
But you do have money in that line.
It's not in your budget? So that would be the key. It would be things that revenue comes in that's not in his budget, because if we put in revenue and it's not his budget, it's gonna be plus but not minus. And if we don't put it in revenue and it's in his budget, it'll be minus but not plus.
But it would be nice to just have a running category of things that we get money coming into the town, but they're isolated.
So it'll be add a new revenue.
We'll never see it if she doesn't budget. We
Well,
don't need it for the mill rate, but we'll never see it.
well, it'll be in here in another section. I mean, she would just need to look at that other section to see what we budgeted for this.
Yeah, to put it in.
Yeah, unless you're saying we shouldn't move it, because then she wouldn't see it and she wouldn't do it. I would hope she could see it. It would just be like a few bits below. I don't know. What do you all think?
Well,
Grouping them below does make sense in terms of.
What we're trying to do with it.
Yeah, what
Mill rate,
we're
right.
trying to do with the mill rate and the budget worksheet, but in terms of looking at the actual line items. I
Does
think it'd be good
Lauren-
to stay the way it is.
Yeah,
you know, it's hard to say because we don't know what the format of the QuickBooks is gonna present to us. And that might be in there under her revenue, saying there's this much in, we, you know. That would,
What if we just note where it says NIPS revenue and just put a couple asterisks or something, instead of adding a completely new column?
it's revenue
Just
restricted,
a couple asterisks,
something like that, or
yeah, something like that. Just hit the line, but just very simple identifier. Instead of adding a whole.
I mean, yeah.
yeah, because it should be part of the whole fiscal profile of the town.
All right, I mean, we can try it this way. I'm only thinking about like a year from now or 2 years from now, or whoever picks this up at some point, is that they don't know why.
Oh, you're not going anywhere.
They don't know why we're subtracting these things, and then when we add rows, we don't remember which ones we were subtracting.
I mean, if
I like a summary between
Yeah.
this and this.
Well, when Lori's back in, I mean, maybe we
Okay,
can run that by her and say, hey,
okay.
how does it look on your end? How would you like to?
So I won't make any changes at the moment, but
Yeah, because like QuickBooks might, as long as it's recorded somewhere, that was my concern.
Okay, and we have a comments column, remove from revenue total since it's restricted money. Yeah, I don't know if highlighting with yellow is necessary forever, but we can do that right now. Okay. All right.
So Joy's gonna cross
Reference.
pile them, we'll be all set.
Yeah, I don't know if we've been clear with that, or we've never, I've not been clear about it myself in my head, thinking that this was driving her budget numbers. I mean, her actual revenue estimates. I probably should have thought that.
Well, aren't we responsible to make sure that?
We are setting revenue numbers for our own purposes on our own worksheet. They may be useful to Lori. They're particularly useful when she reports back to us, so that perhaps she should use the numbers that we worksheet.
And usually the revenue we work off of our best guess from prior fiscal years. Now, interest, for instance, has gone up significantly, so we gotta guess, and you don't wanna overestimate, because then you're inflating your income.
Right.
The state provides us with numbers which we know are good. The state, generally speaking, pays in full and on time.
I know Lori has gotten this worksheet.
Yeah.
So, but maybe it's just a matter of being clear. We can make sure to mention that to her when we see her, is that just to say, have you used our worksheet numbers for your revenue estimates? And we think you should.
And we'll get into this whole process. Natalie will come in and she'll do her dog and pony show and tell us about how she can collect that 99 point something %. So.
99.3.
But a lot of this too is it's more art than it is science to a certain degree. Yeah.
But it helps the art of it when you have the foundation
Yeah.
design to know your numbers.
I guess the only thing from a form or substance, who is ultimately responsible to approve the finance budget? Is it the Board of Finance?
Selectmen passes their budget to Board of Finance, we pass it on to the town and they vote for it. Revenue estimates aren't really
No,
part
no,
of it.
I don't care about the mill rate setting, but that means that she should be using our revenue.
Well, I mean, that part I think is pretty clear.
However, instruction going to the town for a vote, that's
Right.
what the foundation should be for structuring the next year's budget.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Works for me.
All right. Well, sadly, Board of Ed won this week.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Let's see where we are. Worksheet, anything else on the worksheets? Public comments? Seeing any public comment? Let me check the Zoom. Seeing none, I'll entertain
Motion
a,
to adjourn.
Our next meeting is April 3rd.
Jeanette, motion to adjourn. Hold on,
Second.
wait a second. Matt seconded. Wait, discussion was next meeting is the third.
Yeah.
That'll be official, it's April 3rd.
3 weeks, let me just run through the next couple meetings. The third is Board of Ed, I believe they
Yeah.
should be ready. 10th, yep, the 10th is town, and 17th is more questions and schedule a public hearing. It's gotten a little warm, he's trying to run his out here. That's the next couple weeks.
Joyce Reese isn't out.
We got a motion, a second to adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Hold.
It is 8:02. Thanks, everybody.
What's the next?
Are you, what are we meeting again on that?
Probably in another week or so. I spoke to town council, I spoke to Parker, who's our actuaries, I'm gonna loop both of them into the next conversation.
Good night, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It'll probably be in a week or so.